Hey guys, welcome back to One Stop Biology. So we are at chapter 5 of NCERT Class 11th, and in the previous videos of this chapter we have already covered the root and the stem, right? So I hope you would have watched both the videos. If not, I would request you to go through them as well. So today we are going to start with the leaf. Now the leaf basically is a flattened structure, right? And it is born on the stem. So in the previous video when we were discussing the stem, we discussed that it has all the parts of a plant, basically leaves, flowers and fruits. So it has axis which bears various leaves, flowers and fruits, right? So in the same way, leaf is a lateral, okay, flattened structure which is born on the stem. Now it basically develops at the node. So again, in the previous video we discussed node and internodes, and node is nothing but the region of stem where leaves are born. So leaves basically develops at the node and it bears a bud at the axil, right? So basically this axillary bud that only later develops into a branch. Again, leaves originate from shoot apical meristem and they are arranged in an acropetal order. So we'll see the structure of leaves as well later on. Okay, so these leaves basically they originate from where? They originate from shoot apical meristem and they are arranged in an acropetal order. Okay, now the most important vegetative organ of a plant is nothing but a leaf. And why is it so? Because it is the organ for photosynthesis. So because of the function that it performs, which is photosynthesis, it is the most important vegetative organ of a plant. Okay, now leaf has three main parts. Okay, it has a leaf base, then a petiole and a lamina. So the leaf is attached to the stem by a leaf base, okay, and it may bear two lateral small leaf-like structure which is nothing but stipules, right? Now in case of monocots, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering, and that basically is covering nothing but the stem partially or completely. So remember that in monocots, the leaf base expands, okay, and it expands into a sheath which is basically a covering, and that covers the stem partially or completely. And in some leguminous plants as well, that leaf base might be swollen and it is known as pulvinous, right? So it is basically swollen in case of leguminous plants. Now the next is petiole. So petiole basically helps in holding the blade to light, right? So it helps in holding the blade. Now long, thin, flexible petioles allow leaf blades to flutter in wind, and that gives cooling effect to the leaf, and what it does, it brings fresh air on the leaf surface, right? Now the next part is nothing but the lamina. So lamina or the leaf blade is the green expanded part of the leaf. Remember that it is the green expanded part of the leaf with veins and veinlets, right? So there basically is usually a prominent vein which is known as the midrib, and that vein provides rigidity to the leaf blade. And then it also acts as, since the name itself is vein, it acts as channel of transport for water, mineral and food materials, right? Now the shape or the margin or the surface, right, that depends and it varies in different leaves. So if we see a part of a leaf here in the diagram, the first part is the stipule, right? So this is the stipule, this, okay. So you have a leaf base, this is the leaf base. From there arises petiole. This petiole helps in cooling of the leaf and it brings fresh air on the leaf, on the lamina. And then this is the lamina, which is the main leaf surface, right? Now here if you can see a midrib, which is a vein, and different veinlets as well. There is a one main vein which is the midrib and then various veinlets. Okay, now here comes an axillary bud as well, right? This is the axillary bud, right? So now we'll see the arrangement of veins as well, which is nothing but venation. So what is venation? This is arrangement of veins and veinlets in the lamina of a leaf. Now it can be of different types. So there can be reticulate or parallel venation, right? Now in reticulate venation, the veinlets basically forms a network. So here in the diagram, if you see, there is one main vein which is a midrib and then veinlets. So here you can see that these are the veinlets, and then there are even more thinner veinlets, right? So they are forming a complete network. You can see that they are joined and they are forming a complete network. So this happens in case of dicots, right? And then there is a parallel venation wherein you will see that the vein runs parallel to each other within the lamina of the leaf. This happens in monocot. So here you can see this is the midrib, and then parallel to this are the thin veinlets. This. Okay, so this is basically, these are running parallel to each other. So venation is of basically two types, right? Parallel and reticulate. Now the next is type of leaves. So the leaves can be of two types. Either they are simple or they are compound. So in the case of simple, lamina is entire, right? And when incised, the incision do not touch the midrib. So in that case, the leaf is known as simple. But if the incision of the lamina reaches up to the midrib, breaking it into number of leaflets, then it's compound. Remember, then it's compound. Now there is one point, that there is a bud which is present in the axil of petiole in both simple and compound leaves, but not in the axil of leaflets of the compound leaf. So there can be just one bud present in the axil of a leaf, but they are not present in the leaflet. Remember that. Okay, so here if you see the example of magnolia, right? So here if you see the plant, this is nothing but a simple leaf wherein there is just one leaf present and the incision do not touch the midrib. But then in case of compound, again compound leaves are of two types. Either they are pinnately compound or palmately compound, right? So if the number of leaflets are present on common axis, then it's pinnately compound. And in the other case where the leaflets are attached at a common point, so here if you see the leaflets are attached at one common point, then it is palmately compound, right? So basically this is nothing but kind of shape of the palm. That is why it is known as palmately compound. So if the leaflets are present on one common axis, as you can see here that there is an axis and leaflets are growing from this axis, various leaflets are growing from this axis, this is pinnately. In the case of palmately, there is one common point to which all the leaflets are attached, as in the case of silk cotton, right? So silk cotton case mein we have palmately compound leaves, and in the case of neem we have pinnately compound leaves. Okay, so basically with this, and the next topic is phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy is nothing but the pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or branch. Okay. Okay, so that pattern of arrangement of leaves on a stem or branch can be of three types, right? So first is alternate, second is opposite, and third is whorled. So as in the case of China rose, mainly what happens is, say this is, if I draw it like this, that this is the stem and the leaf is not opposite but alternate. So you can see that towards the opposite end there's no leaf present and the opposite end leaf is a bit above, right? So this is nothing but alternate arrangement of leaves. Okay, opposite being exactly opposite. So if I draw this, say this is the stem, this exactly is the leaf on the right hand side, and to the exact opposite is the leaf on the left hand side. Okay, so this is opposite arrangement of leaves as in the case of a guava plant. Now in some cases again the leaves are whorled, wherein all the leaves are attached at one common point. Okay, so if leaves are arranged in something like this, as in the case of Alstonia, it is whorled. Okay, so there are three different patterns of arrangement of leaves. Now next comes modifications of leaves. So there are again cases, just like we saw in the case of roots and stem as well, that leaves are modified into different structures. So say in the way stem forms tendrils for climbing, leaves also are modified into tendrils for climbing, right? So as we saw in stems case, that leaves are also they also gets modified into tendrils for climbing, as in pea plant. Okay, then they also have spines. They also form spines and thorns for defense, as in the case we saw in stems. Example is cactus plant, right? Then in some cases there are fleshy leaves which store food, as in the case of onion and garlic. So onion and garlic plant, these leaves become fleshy and they store food. Now there are some leaves of insectivorous plants such as pitcher plant, Venus flytrap, which are modified leaves. Now what they do, so they say the pitcher plant, it somehow the leaf, this is the plant, okay, and this is the pitcher where the insects gets trapped, right? And here the leaves are modified in the form of this, wherein they trap the insect inside. Okay, so they act as basically trapping insect as well in the case of insectivorous plants, right? So with this we finish the entire topic of leaves. So what we saw is that leaves can be of different types. They are basically formed from what? They are exactly formed from the shoot apical meristems, and they are arranged in acropetal order, right? Then they are born on the stem. Then the different structures, what are the parts? So basically the parts are leaf base, petiole and leaf, and the lamina or the leaf blade, right? Then there can be different types of venations, different type of veins and veinlets present, which is reticulate and parallel. And then we saw the types of leaves, which can be simple and compound, and again in compound we have pinnately and palmately compound leaves. Then we saw the arrangement of leaves, which is phyllotaxy, which can be alternate, opposite or whorled. And then we lastly saw the modification of leaves into different parts performing several different functions, right? So I hope you understood the video well. I hope you understood what exactly leaf is and what part it plays when it comes to a plant, how important it is, right? It is one of the most important vegetative part as it performs photosynthesis, right? So do let me know if you have any doubt in regards to this portion basically of this chapter. And if you did understand the chapter very well, do not forget to like the video and please post your feedbacks in the comment section. Okay, thanks guys, bye bye.